Those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live. 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something to help you make a little money, save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy world that we live in. And as I say every week, boy oh boy, is this a crazy world. Today I'm here with attorney Nick Fiorello with JK Closing Attorneys, and today we're going to talk about timelines on the contract, inexperienced agents when it comes to the timelines, and property management companies when applying to the association. These are some of the little things that most buyers and sellers are not aware of and don't really know the process. So today we're going to explain the process to you. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
So a lot of people don't understand the timelines that go in the contract. Now, as a realtor, I typically tell people, first and foremost, what happens is first we go to inspection. Typical inspection period is somewhere between 7 and 10 days. Very rarely do I see 15. The other thing then that becomes important is closing date and time for loan commitment. So typically, I don't like my loan commitments to be more than 21 days, especially if we have a 30-day close, which that even still makes me a little nervous. I would really like 45 with a 21-day loan commitment. Gives the seller time to breathe and pack their bags
100%.
and furniture. So with that being said, a lot of times sellers get confused with the whole appraisal process. So with the appraisal, that's typically something that's handled during that loan commitment period, which is that 21 days. So it has to be completed and back by the 21st day. If they don't have it back, then that's typically either an asking for an extension of the loan commitment period or canceling the contract.
In the loan approval period, because if they don't have it by the end of the loan approval period, then
they're moving forward as a cash deal.
Exactly. So, I mean, in a way, they can give notice pursuant to the contract that they don't have loan approval yet and are proceeding forward, and they still retain the
mortgage.
The mortgage.
But God forbid it doesn't work out.
But the appraisal is not a way out afterward. Property-related conditions would be after the fact.
Give an example of a property-related condition for our audience.
Something like a roof with a condo.
That's a roof with a condo?
That's what I've seen before.
Give me an example.
Insurance can't be given, which means the loan can't be issued.
We're talking about like a roof, like in a house, really, not a condo.
Oh, it could be. I mean,
or it could be a condo. So
the last one I saw was a condo.
Okay, but when do the property-related conditions, like applying to the condo association, pull back? Like, at what point do you say that the lender is jerking us around getting the documents they need for that?
Well, sometimes it's the association. It's not always the lender.
But they wait so long to do it, so of course then it is the association.
The last couple I've seen have been the associations. They've been the lenders looking for something, and the association's either not giving it to them or stating they're not going to give them what the lender wants because the lender wants too much. The last one I saw was something to do with inspection of some kind, and the association was saying, "We've given you everything."
Oh, like the SIRS report?
I think it was that. I'm not sure what it was. I'm pretty sure it was the SIRS report, something along those lines. I'm not 100%. I don't remember exactly, but it was a week or two ago. But the lender in this case, who I'm not very particular of that particular lender.
You mean fond of that particular lender?
Particular fond.
Okay.
He actually was on his game there, asked for everything timely, The association said, we've given you everything we can. They were actually timely, but they were lacking an understanding and meeting of the minds with each other. So then the association's directing the lender to the city, and we went to the city, got the answers we needed, but the association had those answers the whole time. So who really caused the delay there? The association, in my eyes. But yeah, in some cases it is the lender. They're asking for it at the 11th hour.
Is this my deal recently?
It's not your deal. It was another deal. But I've seen it on both sides. I've seen the lender ask for this at the 11th hour, and that's again, what we talk about every week.
And we can't control that.
No, I mean it's really
unless we add additional verbiage into our contract saying that the lender will, but the lender's really not part of the contract.
No, so you can't. It's really the buyer choosing a right lender. I not to say anything, or I'm not going to name any names, with these big lending institutions, but going to a bank, I bank with Bank of America. That's my bank. I also bank with Chase. I have a couple different banks, but I wouldn't use them for a loan or a mortgage because their institutions are so large.
They have a lot of guidelines.
They have a lot of guidelines. They have a lot of people. They have a lot of resources, but they're spread thin and they don't get to things timely. When you're dealing with another lender, things can happen. So you have relationships with lenders. You can get on the phone with that guy or girl and say, hey, we have a loan approval period of 21 days, like you said, that you like to have. I need these answers immediately. So this needs to be done ASAP, and I need you to get on it right now. Don't wait till the 11th hour, which is going to then lead to any extension request. What happens if you can't get that? The seller says no. Then the buyer could lose out on the inspection fee that they paid, appraisal fees that they paid, any of the fees for their diligence that they paid, and it's all because of their lender, who's an extension of them, who's really an extension of you, because you probably recommended that lender. So it's all on the realtor in a way to make sure that their clients are being serviced by people and companies that take the time to go through all the procedures and protocols they need to do as early as possible, so things don't come up at the last second and cause delays.
So you were telling me about a deal that you recently had, and that the realtor had an opportunity to get the buyer out of the contract at the very beginning during the inspection time, and they chose not to do that, so they decided to move forward. Tell us a little bit about that and how these things could have been avoided.
Yeah, this one in particular is one of the crazier deals I've had recently, and it is a situation where the parties were under contract. I was representing the seller, and the buyer was verbally told by the association that they were going to be denied early on. This was at the onset of the transaction. And the buyer's agent was not very experienced and did not understand that they were within the inspection period. If I'm hearing that as a buyer's realtor or a buyer's attorney, I'm telling them to cancel the contract. That's within the inspection period, you're ultimately protected as a buyer. So why not cancel the contract? You can figure out more information and maybe get back under contract there. But why would you want to put the buyer at risk to keep moving forward when the association's already telling you they're going to deny you? This is alleged. This is what I've been told through third parties. This is what somebody has told me. I don't know what transpired. But
it just doesn't sound right, though, because they ended up going to the application process.
So they ended up waiving their inspection. They went through the inspection period, blew through it, and then 2 days later applied to the association. I believe it was all within the timelines in the contract. This was in mid-June. They went through the process. Now, that was June 20-something, so mid to late June. The original closing date was for mid-July. We get to mid-July, 16th or 17th, I don't remember the exact date, and the buyer asked for an extension. Hey, we don't have loan approval or association approval yet. It was a cash deal too. We don't have association approval yet. Can we extend the contract? So everybody's reasonable thinking from our side and from the seller side and from the closing agent side, everybody's under the impression the buyer is going to close. You know, they're asking for an extension. They applied to the association, even though they said at the beginning that they were going to be denied. They might have mentioned that to the listing agent. I'm not sure, but it's not on the listing agent to go and cancel the contract. The buyer's agent needs to go cancel the contract. And without an actual written denial from the association, then they need to use the inspection period. So what apparently I don't know who advised them and who advised the realtor to do this, but they applied to the association apparently seeking a denial. So, which does not seem like they're operating
so
in
it
good
doesn't
faith.
sound like what you originally thought,
No.
that they said they were going to be denied.
No. So what from
They wanted to get denied.
I think they wanted to get denied because they didn't like the initial situation. But we ended up going through the transaction. The seller granted the extension to July 24th, which was last Friday. And we get to throughout the week, we're hearing that, the association's saying they only need one more document. That's the proof of financial so they can close. So a small little condo cash deal. They had already given this documentation previously, but the association was asking for a little bit more. The buyers ended up sending documentation which showed less money in their accounts after the association asked for a documentation showing more, which didn't make sense to me at the time, but once I found out on Friday their entire goal was to obtain a denial, they were working diligently to obtain a denial. And the contract says they have to work diligently and with good faith to obtain an approval. So they were working in complete opposite and contradiction to the contract, and it was something that when the attorney called me, because there was a separate attorney that the buyer retained last second, called my seller directly, didn't call me, called my seller directly, started pressuring my seller to release the deposit because the buyer was denied, had no denial. I ended up speaking to the attorney. The attorney told me that they went past the inspection period, they extended the contract, and they did everything with the intent on obtaining a denial. I don't know why that attorney would tell me that.
That is weird.
But you just proved to me that your buyer was acting in bad faith.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
So we're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the application to the association, how that process works, and what to be really careful about when doing it. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
Priority One Credit Union of Florida is a welcoming credit union that makes your financial success our number one priority. We offer lower loan rates, higher deposit rates, and common sense local loan approvals, with nationwide access through shared branching.
Hi, I'm Dina Hennessy, President and CEO at Priority One Credit Union. We are open to the community. Anyone can be a member of our credit union, and we would love to have you.
Contact us today at 954-335-5100. You can also reach us at PriorityOneFL.org. Your financial success is our priority. That's 954-335-5100.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at theloracell.com. And now back to the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Today we're here talking about the contract. We're talking about what are some of these pitfalls. Like, there's a lot of things that go on the contract. Sellers don't know, buyers don't know. You depend on us realtors, which, by the way, if you need a realtor, I definitely can help you. I know how to read the contract, and when I don't know something, I definitely call. I make that call to make sure that I know exactly how to keep us all out of trouble. But the biggest thing is that first of all, agents don't apply in time on condos when we have, or association applications. They're supposed to apply within 5 days. Typically, that's the standard in the contract. Who's responsible is it? Is it the listing agent or is it both?
So the contract's a little,
Because, you know,
it puts onus on both parties, buyer and seller. Because in a lot of situations, the buyer's coming into a situation where they don't have any knowledge.
neither do the sellers.
Usually the sellers don't either, but they don't have any knowledge of, of the workings of the association. The seller is supposed to inherently have that knowledge, even though we know they don't. A lot of these associations don't publish anything, don't keep everybody informed.
Does the association have first right of refusal?
It's on their documents from 1950.
Where are you going to find it? Doesn't. Where is it at? That you got to look for.
Should be on their website. Should be.
No, they're not all on websites
I
yet.
know. They should be.
Okay. Do the members of the association have first right of refusal?
Yeah, the members, the board might, and
Yeah.
when they have that right of first refusal, and this is a point of something that always messes up transactions. Recently, I've seen it is that if they do have a right of refusal, let's say they do, they provided their documents. I've seen it. I've reviewed it. It says board or member of board has right of first refusal. There are certain procedures that the listing agent must follow in those communities too. Like they must post the listing or the contract in certain places so people can see it, and each association has different rules. But the point of that is that if whoever has the right of first refusal, that party is supposed to step right into the contract as a new buyer. Things shouldn't be renegotiated. But what these associations are doing lately are arguing that, no, we have the right of first refusal. We're kicking this buyer out, and we have to negotiate new terms on a new contract.
No, you're
That's not
accepting
the
the
case.
terms of the actual
Yeah,
contract.
exactly. So whatever it says, buyer credits.
Right. It's actually, usually what happens is the buyer is made aware when they go to contract that, hey, if the association decides to implement their first right of refusal, you'll lose the deal.
Yeah, and I had one recently,
yeah.
which was crazy because.
Because if you list for $250, but you agree on $150, that's when the first right of refusal will come in.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you're going to sell that you listed for, because they're not going to come in and say, oh, we'll pay you $250.
They might. So I know people.
But they usually wait to see what you negotiate for.
Definitely, but there's some board members that want to have a monopoly in the building and want to make sure that they can control who's coming in there, so they exercise it in that case. I had one recently where we had to reject the right of first refusal. I was arguing against it because it substantially altered the offer, the first buyer's offer, because what happened was the seller was foreign and FERPTA wasn't going to need to be withheld because the buyer was signing an affidavit stating that this was going to be their primary residence for 2 years.
But the other one wasn't going to do that.
Because it was going to be
So it's
the
different terms.
association, so completely different terms. So I had argued with the association, and they were arguing with me, and we finally got them to step down because then at that point
It was going to cost the seller more money.
It's going to cost the seller more money. So at that point in time, it's not the substantially same terms. It's not the same contract. It's completely different. So it really is all fact specific on each transaction too. So everything differs for every situation, and every association differs in how their rules are and everything. So it's important to have a great realtor that understands the communications and the documents with the association first, so then you can get a jump on it.
It's just a lot of work, and people, I don't think sellers understand how much goes into selling a condo.
100%. Condos are a, I don't want to say a dying,
We'll see a
asset,
lot of
but
short sales coming up. A lot of foreclosures will
I'm
be
sure.
coming up. Yeah.
I saw a $200,000 special assessment in Hollandale. It was like the same price as the
Property.
property.
How's that
And
even legal?
I don't know, and I don't remember what it was for, but it was something that it was like 2/3 of the value of the property.
So let's go back, because we digress. We
Yes.
do that very well. Let's go back to, typically the contract says 5 days to apply to the association. So buyer applies to the association within 5 days. Pretty clear cut, right? And we can go to other things after that. Buyer doesn't apply to the association in 5 days. What does that mean?
Default of the contract. So at
Yeah,
that
but you
point,
still have to wait till the closing date, don't you?
you do, but you can basically say at that point, hey, If buyer doesn't close on time, it's because they're in default or they breached a contract. They had 5 days. Why'd they take 10 days to apply?
But if you say anything, they could still get out during their loan approval period.
Oh, I mean, there's conflicting things here. If you breached a contract before you have another out, then you're in default of the contract and you can't use that other out.
What?
If you're in breach of the contract,
Okay, so you didn't apply in time.
you didn't apply in time, what makes you entitled to using another way out of the contract? You're in default
Yeah,
over
but you're
here.
still within your loan approval period.
You are.
So now you can't get the loan commitment. So now you say I'm exercising my right to exit the contract. Yet they still never applied to the association.
But so that puts them in breach of the contract. So that is an initial breach, and they're in breach first before they even get to that point. So,
But now they can't get the loan. So it doesn't matter that they didn't apply.
but they're in breach.
But what happens in that case? See, this is where it gets so flipping complicated.
Yeah, well, it depends because sometimes the first deposit's not due in that 5-day window, depending on what's negotiated. So who knows if the deposit was even made?
Well, let's say the deposit's due on the 3rd day, which is typical, right? So the deposit's made, but now we're on day 8. There's no application turned in at this point in time.
So what can happen is,
And we still have another, 14 days till loan commitment's due.
so the seller can do a couple things. They can say they can amend the contract, agree to amend the contract with the buyer, work with the buyer, work towards closing. That's fine. Sometimes these application things or any of the deadlines might truly not be the buyer's fault or the buyer's agent's fault or anybody's fault. It might just, something might happen. I had something where somebody got in a car accident and they couldn't make a deposit on time. So, that happened there. They were in the hospital, and then right when they got out, they made the deposit. So, things do happen. So sometimes you have people that work with other people to come to a common resolution to close. Everybody wants to close. Everybody's going under contract to close. People aren't going under contract to screw each other over. They're going under contract to close. Buyer wants to buy, seller wants to sell in most cases. Mine was an example that I gave you a little while ago.
But when the realtor says, we're not closing for 2 months, so we didn't need to apply until after, until it got closer. No, you need to apply within 5 days. What if they get declined? Now you've wasted 45 days.
Well, then the seller has a claim on the deposit. They can say the buyer was in default. Then you wasted 45 days or 30 days, 35 days, however many days they wasted of the seller's time that could have been on the market, and then the seller can put a claim on that deposit. It's not guaranteed that the seller is going to get that deposit. They have to fight and go through all the rigmarole of trying to get that, but they can validly put a claim on the deposit.
That's just crazy stuff.
It is.
So let's go back. You said that there's times, though, when the association has not turned the package into the complex to the members of the board.
I had one a couple weeks ago where we were waiting for 35, 40 days, and it was a lot of time. I mean, we were asking for updates. Nobody was getting back to us. The seller happened to be friends with somebody on the board, which was, when they have a connection like that, it really helps.
It does.
Because, you can get a behind the curtain look, not even a look, just a understanding and update, so to speak, because otherwise you're trying to find an update from, ghosts. These people don't typically answer. So when you have somebody with a connection with somebody on the board, you can get an update. In this particular case, seller had asked, hey, we've been waiting, however many days. I think it was closer to 40 days. And at this point in time, the management company had not provided the application over to the board for review.
But doesn't it automatically, after 30, is it calendar days, 30 business days, it automatically, if nothing's happened, they're approved?
No, it's the 30 calendar days. I mean, so you can't, nobody's going to move forward without an automatic approval, or without an approval. Nothing's automatic. But then you can start putting pressure on them. Hey, you've had 30 days, you've had this amount of time, what's going on? And they typically will speed up the process then, especially if you get their attorney involved. I've contacted association attorneys, and usually before that they don't really care, but after, when they start getting negligent, that's when they start to care. And in this case, the management company just had a file and they forgot to move it over. And they moved it to the board. Thankfully, the seller knew the board member, and they got it expedited. They approved it one day. So the board approval was done quickly, but that's not the case in every, and
So
what do
a
you
little
do?
trick for everybody. This is a little trick. Go to sunbiz.org, pull up the members of the board, and then look them up.
Yeah.
And reach out to them directly. And listen, they don't like being called, don't get me wrong. However, when I call, I say, my name's Laura, and I'm very quick about it. My name's Laura Sanders. I'm a realtor with RE/MAX. I have a client that is purchasing a property in your building. Before you get upset that I'm calling you, I stop them right away. I say it very quickly. I said, I'm sure that if you were buying or selling right now yourself, you would want a realtor like me that would go out of my way to make sure that I get this taken care of. And that always works.
I've gotten some cold shoulders in the past, you know.
You got to be quick though. People are like, if you take a long time and you go, hi, my name's Nick, I'm a lawyer, they'll be like, oh.
They don't like attorneys calling.
Yeah, they want to hang up on you right away.
A lot of times I tell people I work with, you know, realtors or whoever, it would be helpful if you call first, because a lot of people get defensive when an attorney calls. I've noticed that over the...
But I just had one where you called and the lady was willing to talk to you, where with me, she was just like, I never owned that place. And I was like, yeah, you did.
That one was a tough one, though. I spoke to that woman for 45 minutes to try to
calm her down and tell her you weren't here to, like, you know, do something illegal.
Nothing. Everybody's just coming to fix the problems of the past. So, I mean, it really depends. A lot of the time when people get attorneys to, you know, calling them, they get a little defensive. But
so we're running out of time. Real quick, with that application, any suggestions?
Definitely be timely. Like I said, if you are a listing agent and you're listing, then try to get this information the day you get your listing appointment. You know, try to get everything as early as possible, because the more information you have at the onset, the more information you provide to buyers, the more information you provide to potential buyers is only going to help you in the long run, because ultimately, like we were saying earlier, the contract puts the onus on both the buyer and the seller to help facilitate the approval process.
Okay.
So,
well, and what's a good number for them to reach out to you?
You can call our office, 954-779-5000, and you can email me, Nick, at jkclosings.com, or our legal team, legal@jkclosings.com.
Or if you're looking for a top realtor, definitely give me a call. Laura Sanders, RE/MAX Direct, 954-650-0827. Again, 954-650-0827, or catch me on the web at lauracell.com. And like always, thank you so much for listening and watching streaming with Making Money with Laura Sanders. Till next week, make it a great one.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you next week.